NBA owners have become part of the spotlight. It's a relatively new trend we've seen in the NBA where back even in the 90s, no one really cared about the owners except for the organization itself. But if you're a fan, you're not watching ESPN or SportsCenter and looking and going like, oh wow, that's Steve Ballmer, that's Mark Cuban. Now you recognize these guys. They're in the media as much as the players are. They're very vocal about it. So, to start things off, David, when it comes to the owners, do you think this is okay for the NBA? Do you think this is a bad or a good thing that they're going to start to emerge more in the spotlight?
I don't think it's a bad thing for the NBA because it creates storylines. These guys are characters. They're playing a role, and it gets us talking about it. So from that standpoint, the publicity is good. I think the thing is, when you look back at who these people are, a lot of them are kind of nerdy, dorky guys. They're incredibly smart.
Are you saying Steve Ballmer is not the coolest guy in school?
But these guys were not. I am saying that emphatically. These guys were not the coolest guys in school. They were nerdy, they were smart in a lot of cases. But what they've done, these pictures are great to roll as we talk about this. But now they're on the big stage, right? Now they're playing with the cool kids. Now they're being interviewed by the cool people. And it's a trip for these guys. So they've bought their way into this different level of stardom and spotlight. They had it clearly in their previous jobs, but now they get to do it in a very fun, entertaining way. So I think it's great. Like, you know, as long as they don't take themselves too seriously, it's fantastic.
So Victor, the Milwaukee Bucks owner was firing some shots at the Chicago owner and their fan base and their team, saying, don't drive to Milwaukee because you're going to be driving home sad and lonely. Do you like the trash talk from the owners? Do you think it's an acceptable form?
Well, some of these owners, they want to see themselves as the number one fan of the team, and so they're out leading on social media. But I think there's something to be said for just letting your team play, letting the team performance speak for itself. Who's the Spurs owner? When's the last time somebody quoted him?
He talks less than Popovich.
I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing, but some of it seems a little forced, a little contrived, that they're trying to stir the pot for the sake of stirring the pot. And like I said, if you want to use any franchise as a model franchise, the Spurs let their 5 rings do the talking.
Right, which is a great way to do some talking. Speaking of somebody who has at least one of those championship trophies, Mark Cuban came out, and he said that the Rockets are a predictable team. Harden's the only good player on that team, which might be a fact. Is this an acceptable form of use of social media?
I think that the trash talking against players is not really appropriate from the owners. I think it's one thing for the fans and don't come Chicago. I mean, I get that. You're riling up your fans. You're getting your fans excited. But I don't think you need to trash talk the other team because I also think it can have the opposite effect. Then
right.
It pumps everybody up, and just like when a player does it.
Right.
Cuban is a very strategic guy. Mm-hmm. Everything he does has, you know, he expects some action and reaction to it. And I think in this case, he might have felt like there's some pressure on my team, it's 2 local teams competing, and maybe he wanted to do this so that he becomes the focus to take some pressure off his team. So now they're not talking about Rajon Rondo and whether he's getting along with the coach and if the system's working. They're talking about this comment. So some of this, there may be some method to the madness by some of these guys. Some of these guys may just be dumb.
Where I think a lot of this could end up backfiring is when these owners start talking about players, these players' contracts run up. And a player like James Harden, if you're an owner and you're saying bad things about James Harden, you know what? You want a James Harden on your team. Oklahoma City Thunder, after that trade that people have been talking about now, what would have happened? Thunder would have been in a much better position. There's no doubt about it. And that trade was a loss for them. But you want to make sure that these owners are at least in a mature spotlight, because the last thing you need, again, is a Donald Sterling situation, which you literally can see derail a team and make them go to the top of the headlines for the wrong reasons, not the right ones.
I think what it's great for is the fans. I think as a fan, you want to feel like the owner is a part of your team. One of the hardest things about being a fan is you're not playing on the team, you're not involved in the team, and you care so much about the team. So you're at a game, and Steve Ballmer's dancing, and Mark Cuban's yelling. You just feel like, okay, they care too. I care, they care. We're together. We're part of this together. And I think it's really fun. I think it's a really fun thing for the fans.
I think Steve Ballmer's dancing to Fergie was the greatest Vine I've ever seen in my entire life. And we'll make sure to leave that for you guys in the comment section below because it is worth seeing. Victor, we're going to change gears a little bit because there is something else that the owners are bringing a part of their stadium, and that is a beer vending machine. It's important, and you have to tell us why.
It's huge. It's one of the latest developments in Cleveland. I think they rolled it out for the playoffs. It's a touchscreen beer vending machine. And it's something that I think is going to go over huge with the fans. I mean, you look at the Angels. When Artie Moreno took over, one of his first things was that he cut beer prices. That's been ages ago, but that's still what he's known for, is that he's the owner who cut beer prices. Now, Dan Gilbert, he's known for a lot of things in Cleveland, pro and con, but he's also now could be known as he's the owner who brought the beer vending machine to the concourse at the arena. And that's a huge, huge legacy to have.
How do they screen for IDs to make sure you're of age?
Who says they are?
Right. This has been the post game and TYT Sports bringing you the rundown, joined by Victor, Tracy, David, and Jason. Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. We have 2 YouTube channels, TYT Sports and the Post Game Network. Go check them out. Subscribe. How much does it cost?
I believe it's free.
It is free. We'll see you next time.